If there's one thing I learned from my video on stuck buckets, it's that that's a universal problem. That is my most popular video by far of any video that I've made on this channel over the past 10 years. Stuck buckets, everyone seems to have them, and everybody's been looking for a solution to it. And using your air compressor to separate them really struck a chord with a lot of you. A couple other things I learned though is not everybody owns an air compressor. And that was one of the most common comments that I got on that video. And I got thousands of comments on the video. And that was, okay, that's great, but what if you don't have an air compressor? And that's a very good point. So in this video, I'm gonna show you a couple of ways suggested by you guys on how to get buckets unstuck. But of course, when you want something to happen, it doesn't happen that way. I showed you my stack of buckets last time, and those are just the ones that I use for growing my potatoes in. I actually have like dozens and dozens more that were stacked behind my greenhouse. And when I went to pull them out to film this video, naturally, they were all unstuck. Not one of them stuck together. And I just wonder if it's because of the cold weather. It's in the 30s today. So maybe the cold air causes them to shrink and they don't stay stuck together. So that could be a solution. Wait for the cold weather to try to pull them apart. But I did find two pairs of buckets that were stuck together. So in this video, I'm going to try and get them unstuck using a couple of suggestions that you guys recommended. So just going to show you, these buckets are stuck together. What I'm going to use here is just my hose, a garden hose. A number of you suggested that water pressure could do the same thing as air pressure. So I'm going to see if that's actually the case. So I'm just going to use the rinse setting on my hose, the soaker, and I think there's less chance of getting soaked by doing that. And if I have to turn to a spray or like a jet, I'll try that. So let's see. Where the heck pretty sure this is where they connect. Let me try. Like in my air hose video, I did have a problem getting a set of buckets unstuck and had to go get just using the compressor. So I had to go get a screwdriver. So I'm going to go get a screwdriver and see if that will work. So I got a flathead screwdriver and I'm just going to wedge it in between the bucket, create some separation. See if that did anything. Yeah, I'm not finding it too easy to get that separated. I imagine if I could get water in between them, it would eventually fill up the bucket and might raise it up. But I'm not seeing that water pressure is doing it, unless I'm doing it wrong. But I'm already getting wet as it is using minimal pressure. If I had it on high jet pressure, I'd be getting soaked. Of course, it might be fun to do that in the summertime when it's 100 degrees, but in the wintertime when it's in the 30s, not so much. Now, if I'm doing it wrong, for you, those of you that suggested using a hose, if I'm doing it wrong, leave a comment below and let me know how I should have done it. But it's not certainly not as easy as using the compressor. So I'm going to try the next method that was recommended. So the next method that was recommended to me was similar to the first in using water, but this time using hot water. So I've had a kettle of water boiling on the stove, and I'm going to see if hot water actually does a better job than maybe the cold water did in breaking the seal between them. That seems to work. So we got it apart using hot water. And that could have made the plastic a little more pliable. The heat could have added a little bit of pressure underneath, but as you see, it came apart with the hot water. So that one, I'll give a thumbs up. Everyone should have a kettle available to them, and they could just boil some water, pour it onto the edge of the bucket. Should be able to get them separated. Another idea, which I imagine is similar to the hot water trick, is to use a hair dryer or a heat gun going over the bottom bucket, and that creates heats up the air and should separate them. So I'm going to try that one now. I have both a hair dryer and a heat gun, but why do that when you've got a propane torch that you can play with? I don't know how long you're supposed to do it, but let's see. Well, not particularly easy. Let me try with it right side up. Yeah, I'm not sure how long you're supposed to do that, where you're supposed to do that, but it's not easy. There were a number of other suggestions made in the comments, and one was simply just to turn the buckets upside down, step on the handle of the top bucket, and then pull up on the handle of the bottom bucket. I'm pretty sure I've tried that over the years with limited success and great difficulty, but I'm going to try it again. This handle on the ground. Of course, they're not, handles aren't on the same side. That does work. That worked pretty darn easy too. Okay. So you can try that. As I said, I'm pretty sure I've tried that in the past with limited success, but that made it look real simple. Another suggestion was to spray WD-40 in between the cans. Now, what self-respecting homeowner doesn't have WD-40 laying around? Well, turns out me. But I've got a can of PB Blaster. This stuff is great for rusted nuts and stuff like that. Spray it on there, let it sit for a while, and it breaks the rust bond. So let's see if it breaks the bucket bond. I think the real problem is getting this into the, far enough into the crevice to create a slick surface. Otherwise, it's just sitting at the top of the part where it's jammed together. So maybe if we give it a minute or two, it'll work its way down, and then the buckets can slide off. Yeah, it's been a couple of minutes. Yeah. Okay. And then one of the other suggestions was to lay it on its side and then just roll along the top with your foot. And my foot will slide all over the place because of that PB Blaster. Go back to that other method of holding this and then pulling up. Okay, that does seem to work pretty good, that method. How about that? As many people were quick to point out, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So don't let your buckets get stuck in the first place. One of the suggestions was to put a block of wood, a stone, or a brick in the bottom of the bucket. And that would theoretically help them not stick in the first place. I like how it's stuck together again. So maybe you have to stick it up on end so that it doesn't, so that the bottom bucket or the top bucket can't seat itself all the way down. And I'm gonna flip it over and actually stand on the bucket again, stand on the handle again. Okay. Boy, that method's really proving to be effective, isn't it? So carefully placing the block upwards, standing up like that. And then putting it in. Jeez. It doesn't allow the bucket to sit over down, and that should prevent the suction from being created. Another idea was to use some simple cardboard scraps. Just throw them over the side, and this should prevent the suction from forming, as long as the pieces don't fall in, as it did on that side. But this, let's see, let's push it down, and see if it still gets stuck. Might need a little bit thicker piece, because people also suggested wire, plastic bags, any manner of thing to put over the edge of the bucket, have it hang inside, and that way it prevents the seal from being created. One more time on this method, which I'm really liking. So even if they're slightly stuck together, and maybe not that whole vapor lock where you try to pull it apart by the rim, just stepping on the handle is very effective. A few of the other methods recommended for getting them apart was to drill holes in the bottom, and that can work depending on the size of the hole, because you don't get a vacuum in the bottom, but you also ruin the ability to use the bucket for holding any liquids or anything like that. As I said, when I grow my potatoes, I actually have a lot of holes drilled in the bottom of the bucket for drainage, so they actually don't have a problem sticking together, generally speaking. Still, sometimes dirt and everything builds up and it still can make them stick, but yeah, drilling holes in the bottom, you can't put liquid in it anymore. Also recommended using paint stirrers, the wooden sticks you get when you buy a gallon of paint. Put them in first to, again, prevent the suction from being created. I would imagine that would work better than some of these other methods, and that's because the stick is going all the way down the side, so the air is able to travel the entire length of the bucket. So there you go, a handful of good ideas to try out on your own in the event that you don't have an air compressor, or you don't want to drag your air compressor out. The hot water certainly worked on it, as did stepping on the handle. Who would have thought? As I said, I'm pretty sure I've tried that in the past and it's never worked, or worked with limited success. I used it multiple times and no problems at all. One comment I did get on the video when I was using my air compressor was, where was my safety glasses? Safety's overrated. My motto is safety at some point. But yes, particularly when you got dirt flying around, put your safety glasses on. Occasionally I wear my eyeglasses. They'll only just shatter in my eyes, that's okay. They offer a limited protection. All right, try out these ideas. If you don't have an air compressor, don't want to bring your compressor out. Compressor and your buckets are on different ends of your property. But these are good suggestions, and I appreciate everybody commenting that did. And if you got more ideas or have comments about how I was doing the ones that weren't quite as successful, leave a comment below. All right, thanks for watching.